As most of you know, it gets pretty cold here in northern Nevada, so we always want to come in and make sure that our homes are heated. And today we're going to talk about a relatively new way of heating a home. I'm here with Terry Wasick.
Good morning.
Wasick Construction. Terry, how are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm doing great. So our subject today is hydronics and in-floor radiant heating. Terry, tell me, give me a history of radiant floor heating. Where did it begin?
Well, radiant floor heating really started over in Europe a long time ago, probably 100 years ago. They've been using it because of the sources they have for ground source hot water, and they've been doing radiators, baseboard heat, and then they got into the radiant floor system, which you see here with the tubing system. This actually caught on in the United States about 10 years ago. It became popular. Before that, everyone was using the forced air system, or back east, probably 100, 150 years ago, they were using baseboard heat radiators, which everyone's seen, the old style radiators.
Right.
There's a lot of those still in homes here in the Reno area.
So what has taken so long for radiant floor heating to catch on here in America?
Oh, I think everyone was just used to having the forced air system. That was the new system. After they got rid of the radiators, everyone hated those big ugly things in the house, so the forced air systems came along, and you could get air conditioning with them. So as time evolved, when we started getting air conditioning, so the forced air system was the hot new thing to have that. And then when they started using the radiant system about 10 years ago, they found out that, gee, this is a nice heat. It really does a nice job of heating our home. It's more efficient.
Tell me about the benefits. If somebody's going to do this, what are they going to realize when they do this?
Well, the first thing they're going to realize is the home heats better. You have an even heating surface throughout the home. You don't have a forced air system where you have a duct over by that window, you have a duct here in the kitchen, and it's blowing air all around in the house, and you're creating this big dust ball sometimes in the home in the wintertime, especially when it's dry. There's no humidity in the air.
Right.
With the radiant system, you have this heat coming up off the floor, keeps your feet warm, and the heat is rising up around you. With a forced air system, you're blowing hot air up to the ceiling, and then that hot air has to come down. So you're actually heating the ceiling first as that heat rises, and then it's working its way down to you.
And it really should be the opposite. It should heat from the bottom up. I mean, everybody has cold feet.
Correct.
And then in a home with forced air heating, you may be warm up here, but your chances are your feet are cold.
Your feet are still cold.
My feet are always cold. So that's what has been my interest in this, is the fact that the heat generates from the floor up. So basically, and then the thermostat halfway up the wall, if it's set at a specific temperature, the heat is regulated because it is coming from the floor up. And it's very efficient, right? So what are the benefits for the people that are concerned with green and efficiency? What are they going to expect?
Well, one of the things with the radiant floor heating system is that, for instance, if you have a 12-foot ceiling, and the temperature outside is 20 degrees. This heat is all rising up there, and it might be 85 degrees at that ceiling. Down here it's at 72, so that you're comfortable here, but you've already put heat up there that's 85. So the 20-degree temperature outside is sucking that hot air out through your walls, out through your insulation. Whereas if you have the radiant floor heating system, here on the floor it's 74, up here it's maybe 72, up at the ceiling it's 60 degrees, and you don't care how hot it is up there, how cold. So you're not having that big heat transfer from the outside or the inside to the outside of the home because the heat's lower.
Which equates to transfer of dollars outside. You know, nobody wants to throw money away.
Exactly.
So this is a very efficient way to heat a home. Now, Terry, we've talked about the comfort and energy efficiency, but I want to know about the process. How do you go about installing this, and what is the end result? I mean, how does the water get through this tubing? How do you do it?
Well, what I'm going to do is have Derek Allen, my construction superintendent on this project, walk through with you on the house because he's more familiar with what's going on here, and let's have him take you through it and show it to you.
Okay, very good. Let's go.
Okay.
Now we're here with Derek Allen. He's the construction superintendent for Wasick. How are you?
Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing great. So tell me, how do you go about installing this? Are there different ways of installing radiant floor?
There are a couple different ways. We prefer what we call the staple down method. What we like about this, it gives us a little bit of flexibility as far as putting the tubes a little bit closer where the windows are for our heat loss, or how we want to lay out our heat load. We can put a little more heat.
That. For simple guys, explain what that means.
We normally, in an application like this, we put the piping 8 to 10 inches apart. When we get closer to the windows, we like to put it maybe 5, 6 inches apart. It gives us more heat closer to the windows. Obviously, that's where the cold is going to...
Because there's where heat transfer is with large windows, so you're gonna space closer together the tubing, so there's a little more heat in that area.
Exactly. It gives us the flexibility to make the home that much more comfortable. It gives us a nice even heat where we have the heat loss the most by the windows, by the doors. It gives us the chance to bring more heat to those locations and spread it out a little bit more where we have a nice even heat in the middle of the room.
And it's customizable because it's just flexible tubing.
Exactly.
So depending on the application, you can customize it where it's going to work the best for most efficiency.
Exactly.
Very good. So, okay, so tell me more. What do we need to know?
Well, as far as the heating itself, with the flexibility as you were talking about, we can do all kinds of things. As in the bathrooms, we like to put heat on the step underneath the tub, the master tub. We take it into the showers. We put it on the seats in the showers. We can put it pretty much anywhere we want to put it. We can put it in the walls if the homeowners choose. And the flexibility is just pretty much endless.
So, I mean, is it the same heat throughout the whole house? Are you able to control different parts of the house? How does that work?
We are. You can pretty much control every room, or zones as we call it, individually.
Okay.
Every bedroom, every bathroom, the great room that we're standing in now, the kitchen areas, each area in that location will have its own thermostat.
Gotcha.
That way everybody can set it to their own specific desires in each bedroom. The great rooms, they're all underneath their own zones.
And then that is all controlled at a specific location?
Correct. Just like a thermostat, as you would have in a forced air system or an air conditioning system, you have your own thermostat. You control it with that in each location.
Okay, so where is the end of this pipe? Where does it all end up?
It all ends up in the mechanical room. It all goes to a boiler. And let's head downstairs and we'll look at that now.
Let's go.
Well, all these tubing right here from the floor, both from the floor downstairs and from the floor upstairs, comes to this point here. This is the beginning and the end. They start here, they end here. It looks like a mess now. It'll be a beautiful thing when it's all done. We take all these tubing areas here, we tie it into a manifold with pumps and valves. The boiler will sit here. Next to the boiler, we'll have what we call a heat exchanger on a water heater application. Instead of having what we would typically think of a water heater, a gas-fired water heater, the water heater actually runs off the boiler. It's just another one of those efficiency things that comes with the boiler systems.
So it ends up being a very efficient system.
Extremely efficient.
So it doesn't affect somebody taking a shower if somebody changes a zone somewhere.
That's what's so nice about the heat exchanger. You'll have hot water till the end of time. It won't run out. It runs off of the boiler system. You won't run out of hot water. In some of the houses that you think of, someone flushes a toilet and it gets cold, or however the applications work, you will not run out of hot water off the boiler system. And the boiler runs at almost 98% efficient. It's an extremely efficient unit.
That's fantastic.
In a standard home where you have forced air and water heaters, in a home this size, you'd probably be running a gas load of nearly 300,000 BTU, which is a lot of gas being ran to a home like this. In a situation with this, you have a boiler which is running your hot water heater, and the max you'll ever use is 200,000. So there's quite a savings there.
Wow. Now, how do you cover this? I mean, you just throw carpet over the tubing?
Not quite.
What's the next step?
Well, the application downstairs, we have the tubing built into the concrete. This is a daylight basement.
Right.
Upstairs, what we'll do is we'll pour a lightweight concrete, about 1.5 inches of lightweight concrete over the tubing. It self-levels. It's very, very quiet when you're walking on it, and that gives you the material that you need to either put carpeting or hardwood or tile, whatever your heart desires.
So if you're thinking about radiant flooring and hydronics, give Wassett Construction a call. What is the number to call?
Our number is 691-9147.
What is that number again?
691-9147.
Stay warm.